Okay, so welcome to New Day, New Way. I am Anne Marie, the proprietor of the page. If you've been here before, thanks for coming back. And I do these on Friday. It had been for the longest time that I did them on Mondays and Fridays. Two blog posts and two lives a week were a lot with my schedule. So now it's just, in fact, I'm thinking about just naming it Casual Fridays with Marie because why not? So I have one person here. Let me know who you are so I can say hey to you. And we're going to get started. So as I said, welcome to New Day, New Way. If you are not already a member of my group, Excellence in Vision, you can let me know anytime during this in the comments, and I'd be happy to shoot you a link and let that be how you make that happen. We're going to be talking about today why it's important to know your why. That's the blog post for this week. If you are curious what the heck that means, I'm going to get underway in just a second. I'm getting all these little... Oh, Facebook makes me crazy. Okay. So welcome to Casual Friday. Welcome to the jungle. Just a disclaimer here. We've been cleaning out a storage room so that I can make an office. We've been cleaning because it's Mother's Day weekend and I'm having people over, and Doug's getting ready for a gig. You may actually see him at some point during this live, so just heads up. He never wants to be in the lives, but every once in a while he sneaks in, so that's okay. So I hope everyone's having a good week and getting ready for a good Mother's Day weekend, no matter what your plans are. And so now we're going to talk about why you need to know your why. All right. So what is your why and why do you need to know it? If you have not taken any kind of personal development courses, you may not understand what I'm talking about. If you have, then you do, and let's dig into that. So your why is personal, specific to you. It's the basic core reason that you do things that are important to you. Why why it's important to you to set that particular goal or choose this particular career, the things that you want to happen in your life. Pardon me. The things that you want to happen in your life always have a why. And so that kind of goes back. We're gonna dig back just a minute and find out as soon as I get these stupid notifications off of here. Okay. So the reason that we choose what we do for a living, the reason that we choose to marry and have children, the reason that we choose to do a lot of the things in our lives has to do with our personal why, the inside of us, the core values and integrity that we hold, the reasons that we are passionate about certain things. That's our why. And so from a young age, and I think the generally accepted age range is like 7 to 14. Mine, I knew at 5. Some of you may have been younger, some of you may have been older when it came to you, what you were passionate about in your life. I love that time period because the younger you are, the less time there has been for life and outside influences to tell you who you should be and what you should do. And these are, happens to everybody, well-meaning people. They want you to be normal. They want you to have a good life, and they mean well. But maybe if you're like me, maybe you had a passion for something and you just knew that that's what you wanted to do and you knew it from a young age. As you grow older, you have more interactions in life, more life experience, more things to draw from. And so while the passion or the goal may change focus just a little bit, the real goal doesn't, because it's your why. It's the reason. I think of it as the reason I exist, the reason I was put here, the reason that I get up in the morning. You ever thought about why you get up in the morning? So I'm not talking about goals like I want to get a better job or I want to graduate from college or I want to do. I'm talking about, what do you want to do? Why are you here? What is it that drives you? We all have a gift. We all were born with something unique. There is no one like you. And so the thing about you that's unique is part of your gift, right? It's part of what you're meant to do or meant to share on whatever level that you do that. And so knowing your basic why can lead to being able to be centered and have a good solid basis for why you do other things. And this can be transferred out to, why do you go to church? Why are you going to school? Why are you committed to this or that project? Why does it mean something to you? Why is it important to you? And the fun part is, if you're having trouble coming up with why, let's sit down and take a few minutes, because the first answer that I had wasn't the complete answer. It took some doing, it took some digging, and it took some practicing of the tools and things that we've been talking about here all this time. And it finally came out what my why was. I'm going to share in just a second. So once you've thought about that and you think back to that age and time in your life when there were no limitations because no one had yet told you there were any, what were you passionate about? What did you dream about? What did you daydream about? And write it down. You're going to get tired of hearing me say this. Write it down. You don't have to write a paragraph, but just write it down. You've not had at that young age time to be what I call spoiled by outside influences. And I don't mean spoiled as in pampered. I mean spoiled as in it just like burst the bubble. Most of the successful people that you know or that you've read about or that you follow, they know their why. And part of the reason that probably a huge part of the reason that they're successful at what they're doing is because they followed that. Okay. Now, for the point of this conversation, everyone determines success differently. Some people only define it by money. Some people define it by family. Some people define it by several different, metrics. But for our purposes here, I'm referring to successful people as people who are actively pursuing the life they want and their goals. They're actively doing that in their lives. They don't just sit back and let life happen. They decided they wanted this goal and they put the processes in place to go get that goal and so on. That's the definition for success for the point of this conversation from my perspective. So when we were kids, we were pretty single-minded about it. If you remember, maybe you fell in love with learning an instrument, or maybe you fell in love with sports or a sport. We go through phases, and we all understand kids go through phases. They like this thing, they like that thing. But there's usually one thing that kid or you, or maybe one of your kids, you can remember back with one of your kids as well, that's their thing, right? To the point where you almost ask them to stop talking about it because it's all they talk about. I know that happened to me growing up. I was single-minded from the age of 5 on about becoming a singer. That's all I ever wanted to be. It was the only thing. And I can remember at least, well, no, I can't say at least in a number because it was countless times in my life from about the age of 9 or 10 on, where the thought of anything else for me in my life just held no glory. It was not, I couldn't get passionate about it. I couldn't even get happy about it because I knew what I wanted. And it was not possible. I was told it was not possible. Get a real job. You need to be able to support yourself. And those are practical things. And for someone who, like me, was called a daydreamer as a child, I had, parents who probably had their own dreams. I can't speak for my father. I know that probably my mom did. And all of us in our life come up on things that we dreamed about or set as a goal or something we wanted to achieve that we were not able to. And we know how that feels. So with our children, we want to protect them. We want to make sure that they have the tools they need to go out into the world and at least be able to support themselves in some fashion. And, I get that. But for me, even coming up on graduating high school, oh, well, what are you going to do after school? And I didn't have a good answer for that. It's around the time I started trying to learn to be funny because, the quippy one-liners were good. And they kept me from having to answer the question because nobody would want to hear the answer to the question. So I dreamed about it from the time I was 5. I saw a TV show, and this was in the 70s. They had those variety shows. And you'd see one show with a whole bunch of different people performing, whatever. And I remember, and I won't go into who it was because there was 2 or 3 different ones, but there was this one woman that sang, and she sang kind of a ballad. And I remember being swept up by the music, because music is the universal language. We all know that. But her, and it wasn't like she was like the world's best singer. She was very good. But the way she sang the song, they cut to a shot of the audience and the faces of the audience. Just, you could see the emotion on their faces. And I was sitting there, I can remember this. I can just sitting there just, wow. Wow. It wasn't about what she was wearing, even though that was pretty. It wasn't about her hair. It wasn't about the makeup. It wasn't about whether she was dancing. It was not really even about what she was singing, as much as it was about how she was pulling it out of her with an emotion attached. And at the same time, evoking that from the audience. And even though I couldn't put a name on it at that time, I knew that was a power. She was affecting those people. They came for a show. But for that moment in time, I mean, you've seen this and you've done this. You've listened to people that, you listen to people's songs. They make you incredibly happy. Everybody has that one song, right, that makes you happy no matter what. And then there's a song that'll sneak up on you, and first thing you know, you got tears. Not every song is that powerful, but I saw the power in being able to stand in front of people and let out the real me and pull out of them something that gave them an experience to remember. I mean, like, you're 5 or 6 years old, you're not having this complete thought, but you realize the power of that moment. And so that began, we played a lot as kids. Not that I didn't play outside all the time, but spare time, I didn't, I'd rather be locked up in my room with a stereo practicing songs than watch TV. I sang all the time. My daughter did the same thing. My granddaughter does the same thing. Just to the point where you get on people's nerves. And my mom deserves kudos and credit because I probably drove her insane. And the older I got, the more and more and more and more I wanted it. So I found other avenues. But the thing is life intervenes, and then you have to adjust the goal because, well, now you've been told that this is not possible. It's not going to happen for you. You have to have, normal people don't have these goals. No, normal people, this doesn't happen for normal people. And I don't know about you. I have never felt normal a day in my life. As a matter of fact, I used to hate that I didn't feel normal, and now I'm just kind of proud of it. But so life intervenes. It turned out that even what I call the skew of my dream, I tried to fit it somewhere else. Like, okay, well, if I can't do that, maybe I can teach music. It was not possible at that time for me to go for a 4-year degree. So I jumped into broadcasting. Because at least that way I was affecting people. Only I didn't know that at the time. I just really liked it. It was fun, be behind the scenes doing all that stuff. So much later on, I came to realize that with power, it's like they said, with power comes responsibility. It's a delicate thing. And the effect that it can have can obviously go well or badly depending on the person's intent, the person wielding the power. I didn't ever understand the desire to have power over other people, but to be able to elicit an emotional response or an epiphany or an aha moment or something that catalyzed a thought or a feeling that that person will remember and take with them. And so fast forward a lot of years, I raised kids and did all the things that I was supposed to do. And I did have a couple of good years, with my husband. We had a band. We had 2 bands. And I've sang plenty of solo gigs, duos with him. So I've had time on stage, not to the extent that I wanted it, but it was a lot, considering considering what all had gone on in my life. So did that happen for you? Whatever. Like my daughter knew she wanted to be a teacher before she ever went to kindergarten, and that's all of her life. Casey, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I want to be a teacher. You didn't even have to ask her. We didn't really ask our kids those kinds of questions, but she would tell you, when I get big, I'm going to be a teacher. And that's what she is. And she knew, and she was single-minded about it, right? So that luscious time when we're children, before anything else comes in to disrupt our bubble, before all the outside influences come in and begin to affect how we think about ourselves and how we see ourselves, and all of it, all of those limiting beliefs that we now have start to get formed. We've been talking about this for weeks. So, right, take a minute, do it later, do it now. If you've already done this, and you can scan back in your head. I hope you're sitting somewhere relaxed and happy. Scan back in your head and think about that for a few minutes. And if you go back and you remember what it is, can you also conjure the feeling, how it made you feel? When was the last time you felt that passionate about something? I mean, all right, I'm going to ask you 2 questions, because anything that you're feeling or anything that's coming to you about you with me talking like this, I want you to write it down. The first question is, if you could spend the rest of your life doing what you love most, what would it be? Now, most people have an answer, and then their subconscious kicks in and goes, well, yeah, but you can't do that because, or yeah, but it's a pipe dream because, and there's all these becauses. But the answer that came to you when you first heard that question, that's the answer, most likely. The second question is, why would you want to get up every day and pursue that dream with all of your passion? Those 2 things for me are critical, and you have to know them. And I'm going to instruct you to write them down, and here's why. Because even under the best of circumstances, with the recipe working well, and you're putting the pieces in place and you're doing all the things, you're going to have days where something didn't work out, or 5 things didn't work out, or you're not quite yourself that day for whatever reason. Maybe you tried meditating and you just couldn't get it that day. You're going to have that day. And so I always say, when you have those kind of days, journal it. And so when you go to journal it, you're going to remember, hey, put it in the front of a notebook, put it somewhere where you can go find it if you have to. Put it on your freaking refrigerator. But write down the answer to those 2 questions. If you could spend the rest of it, just write it down. If I could spend the rest of my life doing what I love most, it would be. And the answer to why do I want to get up every day and pursue that dream with all of my passion. Once you have it written down, you're going to need to know where it is, because on the day that you need it, it needs to be there for you. You're going to have to remind yourself. You're going to have to go back. Once you make the decision, I'm going to caution you here, because once you figure out, once it comes to you, what your purpose is, what you feel you were meant to do, and why, nothing else is going to suit. You're going to be like, God, she just had to make me figure that out, and now I'm just not going to be happy with anything else. You're welcome. Your why might be, I want to pursue my dream so I can help other people, or I can, teach this, or I want to be able to do things for my family. I want to, my family is my reason for doing everything. Maybe that's your why. Maybe that's your why now. It wouldn't have been when you were 5. Maybe that's your why now. But you'll know why. And even if you don't think you can say it out loud, write it down. Critical. You need to be writing stuff down as it comes to you. The more that you use these techniques I'm teaching you, the more that you make changes to your schedule, the more that you start taking care of you and getting rid of what holds you back up here, you're going to start noticing all these changes going on with you, and how you're living your life, and how you're dealing with things, and how you're doing things. And so as you notice, that you need to write that down too. It's part of the process. Tracking your process. I hate the word tracking because it sounds like you're reporting in for duty or something, but keep it in a journal. You're going to go back someday and look at this, or maybe someday somebody else will. Maybe you'll leave it to a grandchild, and they'll get to read what you were feeling and thinking, and how much you believed in that, and why you did it. So, Marie, you're not a singer, and you shared with us. So what's your goal? Well, thanks for asking. No, you really didn't ask. What's your goal? What do you want to achieve? It's always also good to set a timeline, because if you set a goal and don't really give yourself a timeline, then it's basically just a wish. I have several goals. My mission is to empower people who don't think that they deserve or can achieve what they want in their life, and to give them the tools to do what they need to do to be successful with themselves, with their family, with their business or job. I want to be able to help anyone who thinks that they're emotionally crippled, or not able to see an opportunity or take advantage of an opportunity because of limiting beliefs and what they've been told or what they believe. Everybody, I've said this before, everybody deserves their best life, and everybody deserves to achieve what makes them happy. It's work. It doesn't just happen. There's no such thing as an overnight success. There's no such thing as the silver spoon. Everything just falls into place, because there's always work involved. But as much work as you've already put in your life for other things, for other people, and you gave that level of commitment to those things, how much more important should it be for you to make that level of commitment to yourself? Because it's not just for you, and you already know that. I've never come across anybody where it was just for them and it didn't have anything to do with another person in their life. So, making sure that someone who wants to do these things and do this work, and making sure that I can give them the tools and help to empower them to change their life and make it what they want. That's what I want to do. And if it takes singing, I'll do that too. I sing in the grocery store. So that's what your why is. And now you know why it's important. You can transfer this to why you want to be a good parent, why you want to be a spiritual being, why you want to be a better wife or husband, why you want to be whatever at your job, why it's important to you that you do volunteer work if that's what you do. Most people can't survive on motivation alone. because motivation is something that it's like energy. It waxes and wanes. Yes. Determination and passion and commitment. That's what you need. And so if you can find that, I'm rooting for you. If I can be of help, I'm here. And I am, like I say, we'll cut to this part here. I am only doing one live a week, but I am also developing the personal coaching and some courses. So there's a lot going on. But the one live week, if you have questions, if it's not something that I specialize in, I have contacts that I can refer you to if you are interested. The most important thing is that you decide that you're worth the life that you want. So that's it for me. Like I said, if you are not in my group and would like to be, I would be happy to shoot you a link for that. Let me know in the comments. If you're watching this on replay, of course, most people will. I think pretty much everybody. Hit hashtag replay if you have any questions, anything you'd like to let me know. And this went just slightly longer than I wanted it to, but I thank you for checking in with me. I will see you next Friday. I wish you a happy Mother's Day weekend, and I wish you peace.